Welcome to Guided, your weekly sanctuary where we blend the wisdom of the Enneagram with the art of intentional living. I'm your host, Evie, and you're so welcome here. Guided is all about helping you, the modern woman, find your flow in a world that's often all hustle and no heart. Whether you're navigating a career pivot, diving into creative pursuits, or just figuring out how to take better care of yourself, Guided is here to support you. This podcast is like a weekly chat with a good friend, one who's passionate about making your life feel good. At Guided, we believe in living with intention, fostering emotional well-being, and finding joy in the everyday. We tackle the big stuff like overthinking, setting boundaries, and avoiding burnout, all while keeping it real and relatable. Think of this as your go-to spot for practical tips, soulful conversations, and a reminder to break free from the grind. So grab your favorite drink, get comfy, and let's dive in. Thank you for choosing to make Guided a part of your weekly ritual. If you're ready to step into a life of intention and empowerment, then hit that subscribe button and let's get started. Hey babe, and welcome back to another episode of Guided. I am delighted that you're here. Today we're doing a deep dive into a type that so many women identify with, or at least feel seen by, even if they're not technically a type 2 on the Enneagram. We're doing the Enneagram type 2 deep dive today. I'm delighted that you're here. But hey, first, if we've never met before, hi, my name is Evie. I'm your self-appointed online big sister, helping you step into the most expansive version of you. I am an Enneagram guide. I am a somatic facilitator. I get your mind and your body to communicate really well so you can move through life with ease. And there's a couple of different things we could talk about. I'm going to drop them in throughout the episode, but I just wanted to, right at the top of this episode, just let you know that my new group program, the Guided CEO, is still open for early bird. It's open for early bird for like another 3 weeks, so you've got some time. Go down through the show notes now, click on that link, and decide to come and join us. It's going to be a really brilliant way to get out of your own way at the beginning of the year. Start your 2026 from the most expanded, grounded, most aligned place as you possibly can. So this is a 3-month, a 12-week journey to help you move from overwhelm and into overflow through guided self-leadership, Enneagram wisdom, and feminine flow. So this is not about hustle. It's all about leading your life and your work with intention and ease and confidence. We are resetting our nervous systems, reconnecting to our intuition, and reclaiming our mornings, which I think you will agree, if you live in a cold, dark place during January, i.e., if you're in the Northern Hemisphere and you're maybe in the UK, maybe you're in Europe, Northern Europe, maybe you're in North America. Guys, we got to reclaim those wintry mornings. By the end of the Guided CEO, you're going to feel calm, clear, and confident again. So that is open now for early bird. Grab a really huge chunk off now. I'm not just saying that. You can get £200 off if you join today. Come and get grounded and glowing and guided with the Guided CEO. I am so excited. Okay, let's get back to today's episode. Let's get back to it. So today's episode is about the helper, the one who's there for everybody else, always needed, always helping, but secretly exhausted. If that sounds familiar, I want you to take a breath with me right now. You are not alone in this. And today we're going to learn a little bit more about the type 2. So type 2s are known as the helper. They're warm, they're caring, they're generous, they're intuitive. They have this ability to be able to sense what others need almost before the other person can say it out loud.
They are the ones who remember your favorite coffee order. They check in on you when you're quiet. They send thoughtful messages just when you need them the most. At their best, type 2s are love in action. They create safety and connection and belonging. They can remind us of our shared humanity. But what sits underneath all of that generosity is often something a little more tender. This quiet, aching hope to feel loved in return. And that's because for type 2s, love and worth can start to feel tied to being needed. If I'm useful, I'm loved. If I'm helpful, I'm worthy. If I stop giving, will I still be wanted? So this is the invisible script that so many type 2s run on. And over time, that creates exhaustion. It creates resentment. It creates disconnection from self. And I actually think type 2s often are the most disconnected from themselves, which can be difficult to spot because they seem so emotionally in tune. They're so emotionally in tune with everybody else. They are not emotionally in tune with themselves. So if you can see that, see what I'm saying there, if you can spot that in yourself, if you've noticed that in others, you might be surrounded by type 2. You yourself might be a type 2. And if you're wondering now, just at the top of this episode, and you're thinking, I need to know, go into my show notes for this episode and scroll down and you'll see a link to a free quiz. Now, the free quiz is not going to tell you everything, but it's going to point you in the general direction of what type you might be. Maybe have a go at that quiz and listen to this episode, see if it's resonating, and let me know if you're an Enneagram type 2. So let's talk about exhaustion then. If we're talking about type 2s, we need to talk about exhaustion. And this is not the kind of exhaustion that lives in the body. It can for type 2s, but it's more the kind of exhaustion that lives in your spirit. So you might notice it as a quiet frustration when you do everything for everyone else, but nobody seems to notice. Or you might notice it as the guilt that starts to rise the moment you even think about saying no. Or maybe it's the way that you tell yourself, it's fine, I'll rest later, even though deep down you know later doesn't exist. So type 2s often grow up learning that love is conditional. Whoa, we just waded into some fairly deep water there, okay? And I say that from the point of view, from this place of understanding that so many things, so many different parts of life feed into our childhood messaging. So I'm not out here blaming your parents if you're a type 2. That's absolutely not what I'm doing. We can pick up this message from many different places, both directly and indirectly. Yes, from parents and caregivers, but we could also pick it up from society, culture, teachers, religions. There are many different places we could have picked up this message. So again, not trying to wade into anything too deep there, but just kind of telling you what any good Enneagram book would tell you. So type 2s often grow up learning that love is conditional, that to earn it, they must give endlessly, selflessly, beautifully, but also at a great cost. And the thing is, when you're constantly tuning in to everybody else's needs, you start to lose frequency of your own. You stop asking, what do I need? What do I want? What nourishes me? Because you're so busy asking, assuming, knowing what other people need. And this is where we start to see resentment build. Not because type 2s don't want to help, but because their giving becomes disconnected from authenticity and self-care. So when helping becomes this kind of performance for love, rather than an expression of love, it drains you. It drains you, type 2, instead of filling you. So how do we shift this pattern? The healing path, if we can call it that, for type 2, isn't about giving less. I am not here trying to tell you to love people less. No, sir, no, siree. It's all about giving from a full cup. And that has to start with self-connection. So here's a little embodiment practice that I love using with my type 2 clients. So I'm going to ask you to take a deep breath. And then I'm going to ask you to take another one. And then I'm going to ask you to place one hand on your heart and the other one on your belly or your womb. And on your next inhale, I want you to silently say to yourself, I am worthy of love. And as you exhale, I want you to silently say, even when I'm not giving anything away. Let's do that a few times. Let's let it land. Inhale, I am worthy of love. And exhale, even when I'm not giving anything away. And do that again now, just in your own time. You don't have to be a type 2 to get something out of this practice. I think we all can. Because this isn't about closing your heart. It's about including yourself in the circle of your own care. Okay, so then now we have to talk about boundaries. Now that we're in this place of maybe not filling our cup even, just noticing our cup. Boundaries are something that every type 2 needs to learn to see not as some form of rejection, but actually as a form of protection. When you say no to what drains you, you say yes to what allows you to keep showing up in love. Boundaries help you serve from overflow, not depletion. If you've listened to these episodes, if you've listened to an episode of Guided before, you'll know I often talk about in these episodes or in my one-to-one work, I often talk about moving from overwhelm into overflow. And they help you notice the difference actually between I want to help and I feel obligated to help. Boundaries are the secret sauce for type 2s. Because for type 2s, that distinction from I want to help and I feel obligated to help is everything. So I want you to remember this. You can still be warm, caring, the intuitive soul without needing to rescue everyone. You can love really deeply without disappearing in the process. And you can receive love and support and care without earning it. Because your worth isn't actually tied to being needed. You deserve care too. And I want to invite you to pause and reflect for a moment here. You could even grab your journal. If you have it nearby, you could pull out your notes app on your phone. I want you to ask yourself, what's one way I can meet my own need for support today? What's one way I can meet my own need for support today? So maybe that's texting a friend for a chat instead of being the one who always does the checking in. Maybe asking or calling and saying, do you have 10 minutes? I really fancy A chat, I could really do with a chat. Maybe it's booking into a therapy session or taking yourself out for coffee. No guilt, no justification, no saying I find this boring. Hint, you are not boring. So it wouldn't be boring to hang out with yourself. That can be a stumbling block for type 2s. Or maybe it's simply just letting yourself rest without trying to make that rest productive. And here's something else I just really want to gently touch on before we wrap this episode up. And this is something that can be a little uncomfortable for type 2s to hear, but it is deeply freeing once you can see it. When you're so focused on anticipating what others need, without actually kind of asking or giving them space to voice it, that is a subtle form of control. It's giving love on your terms, the way that you think others want to receive it, rather than allowing true mutuality. And if you're thinking, hey, Eve, I've listened to the other episodes, you're not being this harsh to others. The other episodes probably just don't feel as harsh because it's not things you struggle with if you are a type 2. So that's why this might feel a little spicy. And hey, look, when you don't voice your own needs because you're afraid of being too much or because you assume that other people should just know, it can create quiet or loud resentment. And over time, that dynamic becomes one-sided. And ironically, that is when the helper energy can slip into a little bit of selfishness. Not selfish in the way that we usually think, not greedy, not cruel, but in the sense that the giving is centered around your need to be needed, rather than the other person's real experience. It's love with strings attached. It's invisible but very present. And true generosity requires honesty about what's yours and what theirs and what's actually being asked for. So, learning to name your needs and let others show up for you is part of your quote-unquote healing. I mean, there are so many issues with that word, but we're gonna use it for your growth path. And it creates balance and trust, the very things that your heart longs for. That's what it creates. And so here we're remembering that self-love isn't selfish. It's like totally sacred. And when you as a type 2 begin to nurture yourself and express your needs openly, something really magical can happen. Your love becomes freer, it becomes more genuine, it becomes rooted in authenticity. It stops being currency. It stops feeling like you're paying off a debt and it starts being a gift. So if you're listening to this and it's hitting a bit hard and you're realizing, this is me, know that awareness is the very first step towards transformation. And you don't have to stop being the helper. You just have to help yourself first. So let's start small. Set one boundary in the next week. Can you do one loving act towards yourself? Like I mentioned earlier in the episode. Is there one reminder that you are enough? Maybe like the practice we did with our hand on our heart and our belly, that you could come back to. The more that you practice these things, the more your relationships will begin to shift too. So we get to move from obligation to authenticity, from exhaustion to ease, from that overwhelm that I was talking about into overflow. Because that's the real essence of type 2 growth, right? It's loving from overflow, not depletion. Not depletion, you guys. That can't be it for you. It's not. So I really hope that this episode, this quick deep dive, was helpful. I'm so grateful for you tuning in to Guided today. And if this episode did resonate, take a moment to breathe that in. I have spoken quite quickly today because I've wanted to squeeze as much juice out of this episode whilst respecting your time. So just take a moment, breathe it in, maybe even share it with one person, maybe for some accountability. And if you're ready to go deeper in your Enneagram journey, you can book an Enneagram blueprint session with me. The link is in the show notes. This is where we spend 90 minutes one-to-one looking at how the type 2 energy in your life might be showing up and steering the bus, and how we can move into our growth path rather than being stuck in that place of depletion. We learn how to move from that overwhelm and into overflow. Dreaming. All the links are in the show notes, guys. Remember, if you want to join us for the Guided CEO, get that early bird now. Go for it. And I will see you next Monday morning at 9 a.m. I actually released a cheeky episode on Friday last week. If you're listening to this kind of in real time, you might have missed that. Do go back. I have an apology for you. You might want to listen to it. There's also talk of emergency surgery that I feel you should be updated on. So that's all in the episode previous to this, number 53. But I will see you next Monday morning at 9 a.m. Any questions, any thoughts, any feelings, drop them into my Instagram DMs and let's chat. Until then, take exquisite care of yourself, my love. And I'll see you next Monday morning at 9 a.m. How many times can I say that? Okay, bye.
If Guided the podcast resonated with you, why not share it on your socials or send it to your friends? And if you have a spare moment, I would love it if you could leave me a review. These small gestures are free and they're invaluable in helping me amplify the reach of Guided the podcast, connecting us with more empowered women who are eager to increase their well-being. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button to stay in the loop with our latest episodes. By subscribing, you'll stay connected and receive a weekly dose of inspiration directly to your inbox. Thank you for being a part of our community, for showing up, and for your commitment to personal growth and self-discovery. Until next time, take care of yourself, stay curious, and keep exploring the depths of your own inner wisdom.